Well, Shabbat Shalom. So tonight, as you heard, we open a new book of Torah, the book of Vayikra, or Leviticus in English. It is a book that focuses on the service of the temple and the practice of sacrificial worship. Now, while sacrificial worship may feel alien and archaic and messy, the book of Leviticus reminds us that these ancient rituals, strange as they may seem, are prescribed for a purpose. As Rabbi Reines taught us so beautifully at the beginning of the service, the word for sacrifice, korban, comes from the root that means to draw near, to bring close. What our ancestors attempted to do with this system of sacrifice was to harness the essence of God and to draw God near as the breath of the animal placed on the altar. In truth, this sacrificial system gave our ancestors a very concrete way to commune with God. Whether they were offering gifts or expressing gratitude, whether they had sinned intentionally or inadvertently, our ancestors had a path not only for communion, but for restoration and repair. Their God, once unknowable, was now accessible through sacred rituals. Our ancestors who were yearning for connection and meeting were granted this intimacy in the form of sacrifice. The search for connection and meeting transcends all peoples and all time. In fact, if there were two words to describe the preconditions for human existence, they might be connection and meeting. As living beings, we yearn deeply to connect to others. We want to know and be known. We long to see and be seen. We want to understand and be understood. We humans thrive best in relationship. Here at Emanu-El, the Gather program, which is our small groups initiative, is built around this very idea. At the heart of Gather is the belief that meaningful relationships not only build community, but change the way we see the world and our place in it. Gather is about creating intimate spaces where congregants of all ages and all stages can get to know one another. It's about sparking friendships and building a sense of camaraderie over discussions about things like Shakespeare or sports, or politics or current events, music or art. Our congregants gather in small groups to play poker and mahjong, to learn calligraphy, and talk about parenting. Some philosophize about life's biggest questions, some network, and some gather solely to schmooze, because who doesn't love a good schmooze? Over the course of 3 years, under the incredible leadership of our Gather Vision Chair, Nicole Frankel, along with the truly expert stewardship of our membership manager, Allison Salzman, our Gather umbrella has expanded. New Gather groups are emerging all the time, as are new ideas for future Gathers, and if you have one, come talk to me. We've also added Gather Mingle for single members seeking friendship and social opportunities, and Gather Family for temple families looking to do the very same. We know that so many in our congregation are hoping to deepen their connection to other members and to the temple community writ large. And Gather is here to help every congregant find and build those connections. While our staff and our leadership do play a very large part in the work of Gather, Gather truly runs by virtue of our amazing, extraordinary, and deeply committed lay people, our guides and our liaisons who devote countless hours to planning and facilitating and nurturing their Gather groups. It is our guides and our liaisons, as well as all of our Gather participants, who are creating sacred connections and building holy communities, one gathering at a time. Tonight, we're so blessed to hear from one of our Gather liaisons, Lauren Bernstein. Amongst many other responsibilities in her very full life, Lauren serves as a liaison for one of our Gather family groups, fearlessly organizing outings and adventures so that parents and children alike can feel connected to one another and to our temple community. We are so grateful for Lauren's steadfast commitment to this program and for her unflagging enthusiasm for building and sustaining community here at Emanu-El. It is my honor now to call upon Lauren to share a few words about her experiences with Gather.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and thank you to Rabbi Sapadin for that very nice introduction. I am Lauren Bernstein, and my husband and I moved into the area in January 2020 when I was pregnant with our son. John went to Hebrew school at Temple Emanu-El and was bar mitzvahed here, so moving back to the area was a bit of a homecoming. And we were really excited to settle into the neighborhood and join the temple, but the pandemic had some other plans, and we spent the first few months tracking down hand sanitizer and settling into newborn parent life. But we finally joined the temple later that fall. And as soon as we joined, we immediately wished that we had done so sooner. We really couldn't believe how quickly Temple Emanu-El welcomed us into the community. And at a time when just about all social interactions were done over Zoom, we found that the temple really had a lot to offer in terms of social connectivity, especially for two sleep-deprived new parents. And before long, we were attending virtual young member programs pretty consistently, where we met several people, and doing so introduced us to Emanu-El's Gather groups. And we soon joined a young professionals Gather and a TV watching Gather. And through those programs, we met some very close friends, some of whom are here and many others who are on spring break right now. But joining Gather really opened up our eyes to new opportunities at the temple, specifically the toddler program, which we enrolled our son in the following fall. And seeing how our son thrived at the temple, particularly with some kids who are now some of his best friends, it only made sense to become involved in Gather Family. And Gather Family has been a fantastic way to get to know member families with similarly aged kids. And thus far, our group has done a number of local activities, including visiting the Central Park Zoo, going to the Slumu Institute, and checking out the Alice in Wonderland Dreams exhibit. And while it is Gather Family, we have definitely ditched the kids and gone out just with the parents, which has been a great way for us to connect and foster new friendships. One thing that is really great about being at at belonging to a congregation of this size with so much diversity is that there really is an excellent opportunity to find people that you can connect with about almost anything. And as someone who has a so-called COVID baby, having a community within the temple of folks who've been going through similar experiences has really been a pleasure and frankly a stress reliever, particularly now that our son is in the terrible twos tantrum phase. Definitely open to feedback on how to deal with that. But in addition to having a group to attend events and exhibits with the kids, it's just really been great to find our people who we can talk about the challenges of parenting generally and specifically related to kids born during this time. So it's really been wonderful for our son as well. He is at home having dinner and hopefully going to bed very soon. But he really loves attending temple events, and we're really excited that this fall he will be attending Temple Emanu-El's nursery school together with 2 other kids who were in our Gather Family group. And we are just incredibly grateful to the congregation and the clergy at Emanu-El for giving us the tools to foster and grow these relationships. So thank you again for having me, and Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Lauren. It is now my joy to invite all those Gather participants here in our sanctuary, if you're able to please stand at your seats. The rest of you should look around and see just how many are involved. Now we ask God's blessing upon you. And so Vayikra, the parashah, begins with God's call to Moses from the tent of meeting, the Israelites' portable sanctuary. And those familiar with the Torah know that the tabernacle is built only out of the gifts the Israelites contribute freely to its construction. Let them bring me gifts, God had asked, all whose hearts move them. In the course of time, the Israelites would arrive in Canaan, and that portable temple would be replaced by Solomon's temple. Our tradition teaches that Even Hashtiyah, the foundation stone on which that first temple was built, was also known as the weaving stone. To build a temple is, first of all, a gift of the heart, a labor of love. And second, it is indeed an act of weaving, of knitting individuals together, of linking lives. Sacred community doesn't happen on its own, simply by bringing hundreds of people together in a room. It is achieved only through deliberate effort, and only when a group of people, understanding its importance, are willing to step forward like you and give of themselves and bend their shoulders to the task. All of you are our weavers. You are our knitters. You are our builders. We pray you find as much uplift in your service as you have brought the rest of us. May God bless you with health and joy, you and those you love. And may your hopes and prayers be realized for good. For you and of you, we sing this song of gratitude, Hine Matov.
הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב.
הנה, הנה,
הנה, הנה, הנה מה טוב. There are those of us who carry years.
there are those who tarry years,
There are those who are born to us.
and there are those who come to us,
And there are those who know their dreams.
and those who dream to know.
הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
הנה, הנה מה טוב, הנה, הנה, הנה מה טוב. There are those of us who reach for heaven. There are those who reach for hands. There are those whose faith is rock, and those who question God's command.
And there are those who just don't know the words,
And those who know where they stand.
here we are. Here